Hi, everybody. This is Dave Dancero. Welcome to the webinar. We are going to be getting rolling here in just a few minutes. If you see this slide that you registered for, Anatomy of a DIY Home Gait Training System, you have come to the right place. For the purpose of this quick video cast and replay of an original video that I did for a webinar series called SmartMovesPT Webinar Series, and it incorporated a few of the tips and tricks I used after my own stroke rehab, gait training, used for other systems that I built for restoring balance. As part of a webinar series entitled How to Restore Balance and Set Smart Goals After a Stroke. So I got a lot of play and a lot of feedback and a lot of follow-up questions about specifically the gait training part. So that's what this quick video cast is all about. So I'm going to go to my second slide. We need to have a quick disclaimer that if you are coming here looking for medical advice, you're in the wrong place. When you signed up for the video cast or the webinar replay, you would have had to consent to an understanding of what you see on the screen. So I'm going to read it. So no medical advice will be provided on this webinar. The information, the materials provided on or accessed through this event and my SmartMovesPT websites are intended solely for the individuals seeking general information about their health and are not intended for individuals or patients seeking medical advice or treatment. So we got that out of the way. Again, I thank you for understanding. This is certainly not a place for me to take over as your therapist or your medical care team, just to provide some solutions and answers to a lot of questions that were coming up after that webinar and then the YouTube video that was posted many years ago. So finally I had a chance to update it. So for this webinar, quick agenda for today, I'm going to eliminate the chat function. I did have some great feedback from some users and some current and former patients and also some other therapists that I ran through elements of this webinar with. So I'm going to start, it's kind of built into 3 or 4 individual videos that are put together for this presentation. So I'm first going to start today on the agenda. I'm going to replay the original video because that walked through the system and that brought up a few questions, solved some for some, brought up others. So I'm going to clarify in this presentation about how to secure this safety harness system, what you'll need, what not to use to secure that, so mistakes to avoid, and then some bonus tips from feedback that I got from my focus group. And other comments that came in after that video series. So how to get started and what's next. There's a resource list that you can, most of the links are directly to Amazon. And in full disclosure, I am an Amazon associate. So I'm not charging for this webinar, but a lot of the links, if you do order, I have to disclose that I have an affiliate relationship with Amazon. So I do receive compensation for anything that you might buy through the Amazon shopping cart. So anyway, that's all I have to say to get this rolling. Again, the way you can get in touch with me after the webinar, I do a lot of writing on LinkedIn, but you can go to SmartMovesPT, you can go to nostroke.org, or you can reach out to directly. You can see my email on the screen there, and there's a contact form on the SmartMovesPT website. So I want to say enjoy the show. I'm going to exit out of this screen, and I'm going to open up that video cast that will begin shortly. So I hope you enjoy this presentation.
Hi guys, this is David from PTC Physical Therapy. I'm doing this video because one of the follow-up questions that we had that seemed to be the most popular was referencing setting up a home gait assisted treadmill system or a help for weight bearing and or fall prevention. So I want to show you the same setup that I showed on the slide on the seminar, how to restore balance and set smart moves, smart goals after a stroke. that setup is here. And what I did in the clinic was came up with a framing system. This is actually a rack system for weightlifting, but you want to make sure whatever system you set up that it's rated heavy duty enough. You can actually use the same overhead mounts, and I would recommend 3 across wherever you're mounting them above your treadmill. The same mounts that they use for a TRX system or a weighted enough of a secured lag bolt system that you could support, and I'll explain why in a moment. But we use a harness system. Actually, I'll provide the links below this. We get ours from Amazon.com, a lot cheaper than going to the conventional. Some of the other harnesses go as high as $500–600. You want a 3-point harness, which means there's a mount in the back and 2 on the side. So I'm going to actually do that now, and I'll lock myself in here quickly. I'm going to go to the top and back, the most important one here. But if you only do a single point system and you do slip or fall, you do not want to spin like a top. So that's what the 3 points are all about. It gives you enough security that it could break a fall, and I'll actually demo that. But I'm going to do a quick snug these straps up. And by the way, all the materials list I'll put on a link under this video eventually. You might see this either through the Go Motive app, or you may actually see it in the members area where provide the materials list, and maybe we'll do a follow-up how-to step-by-step video if you wanted to replicate a system like this at home. But some of the key studies on gait and fall prevention show that there's a threshold of about 1.6 miles per hour. If you can get walking consistently at that pace, there's a pretty good correlation with a reduced risk of falls above that level. So I'll provide the link for that study as well. Therapists are probably aware of that already. But this is more directed for the patient that talked about doing reps and visualizing through movies. This is where you could film your before and after progress. But you have to do the volume, and that's if you want to walk better, you got to practice walking. And in one of the overview clips on the seminar, I did mention about having, I think the statement was in a question I asked, is it hard to get exercise if you don't have safe and effective resources? So this is a way of actually making a treadmill at home safer, fairly inexpensively. If you already have the biggest investment, obviously, is a decent treadmill, but if you have that and you have the ability on your own to do a little bit more walking, you'll see that you'll be that further along in terms of improving your goals. And you can actually, before, I would suggest, like I mentioned in the goal setting section, recording yourself at certain benchmarks and see how your gait improved. I would actually, if I was analyzing my gait pattern, with and without support, I would have this set up further back so I could watch how my feet are striking. Oftentimes what we can do by harnessing is get patients to, instead of walking like this, rigid, to drop and restore normal motion. And having that freedom or that harness with you or on you may prevent someone from challenging. Not having it might prevent them from challenging themselves as much as they would. And again, sometimes these services or these are only available in the clinic. So this is where the safety net can come in and help. If I did trip and fall, it's actually, you can't see my feet, but it's harnessing me. So I want to give you more viewing options in the members area. That's all for now. Look for the resources. Therapy. I'm doing this as a follow-up to a video that I posted many years back about setting up a home gait training system using a treadmill you might have and some tools and tricks that you might have around the house, or you could purchase inexpensively on Amazon or your local supply store. Turns out over the years I've gotten many requests to kind of respond to questions about this system. This was originally built for myself when I was recovering from a stroke. to have a safe way to prevent falls. I was dealing with some foot drop and other gait issues, and I wanted to get back to walking faster so I could eventually return to running. So I hooked up this system. The video, which I'm going to kind of lead into from this video, you might see it before or after, depending on how you came here. I'm putting this together as a video cast to answer some of those questions that I just haven't had time to respond to. Things like, how do I, connect these harnesses? There's a list of, the things you'll need if you have a treadmill. That's the biggest cost. The other things that I mentioned on the video, in the video, I was actually using this system. This is like a power rack. They refer to it. Some of these are a 4-sided rack that a lot of users of CrossFit might be familiar with. They use it for a squat rack, but you can use a pull-up bar. That system, you would need more room, but it would also allow you the opportunity to have more handholds on the side. But for this video, I wanted to show you, hopefully you can see above, I am already harnessed. The 3-point harness that was in the original video is the one I have on now. Someone asked, how do I hook this up so I'm not swinging around? And I mentioned the importance of the 3-point system, which is the 2 on the side. This one would be adjusted to your height, and there's a lot of different mechanisms or different little gizmos you can use to connect. In the video, and what I like to use for the 2 sides are these tie-down straps, because they have a quick clip. And to the point that was mentioned by a few folks is, how do I get this to be adjusted up quickly without tying it? These have a little thumb release where you can actually apply tension if I wanted to take up the slack or make this shorter or longer. I would do through this little zip line. But you can see I don't have that anchored to this side because I wanted to show you you could use just about anything. What you see above me makes a great harness. This is like a mountain climber's, I think it's like a belay strap or something. Whatever you choose, it has to be rated heavy, and also the clips. I'm going to do another video that's probably going to follow this about what not to use. A lot of those commercial promotional little clips that they give away for keychains, those are aluminum. Do not use those. You want to use a clip like the one that is above me, anchored to the back of the center harness, which is taking all of my weight. And on the side, you want to use these true mountain climbing clips. The different size will have a different rating. The 2 anchors, so on this, I could do the same thing here. I just did it for purposes of a demonstration. On the resource list, I do mention, in addition to the anchor for TRX, TRX has a nice accessory strap that I could clip in to the side, and I could come up with that same 3-point harness. So these 2 are mainly mentioned. If you do have a mishap and you do fall, you're not going to pendulum and you're not going to rotate. It's actually going to take your weight, almost like a swing would, up through the main mechanism of the harness. So those are the main things I wanted to talk about. The other option you can use for strapping, again, EMS or online, I'll put a couple of these links to add to the resources I already put under this video. If you happen to be at a mountain climbing store, great, picking up the belay clips and things, get the rope that's rated for climbing and different thicknesses. It's a braided cord that when it shows it's starting to wear, it's time to get rid of it. But for supporting body weight, and these cords are all rated for different weights and capacities too, you could inexpensively set up your own height, have it custom, you could cut it or have it custom cut, and then connect through some ties the length you need to the clip, so the clip can just feed in and out. You could do 2 loops. Some folks even know how to tie quick adjustments by way of the rope. If you're a boater, you know how to do that, or if you're a Boy Scout or have had to do one in Scouts, you know how to quickly draw an adjustment strap that you could do and tighten and then loosen to unclip. But I'm going to do another video following up for those who need a way, because the question came up as, if I'm using a system like this, I need to get the treadmill over the bottom frame, and that's an issue that can be resolved by a couple of another product like a step, like they use for aerobic step, or I actually built a custom rated box that notched out to the frame when I have my treadmill installed here. But as far as safety, these things are kind of essential. And the other thing to remember is do not use the cheap clips because they're aluminum, they'll just drop out. And the most important safety tip, you should always exercise with someone around. If someone isn't around, have a fall alert, have your phone, have Alexa turned on. But I do recommend, again, you're doing this at your own risk. I'm just trying to give you resources to follow up on a lot of the questions that were asked after I put that video out there. Number one safety tip on your treadmill. Most modern treadmills now have a quick release safety. So if I did fall and I started to go back on the track so I wouldn't twist an ankle or get caught, it will disconnect and be a fast stop in an emergency, shut down the treadmill. So that's my number one safety tip. But again, these are just tools to get you working and moving and, for all the benefits that come with walking. I imagine because it's turning fall and folks are looking for systems to maybe take themselves into, a home training session, or maybe folks that have reached out to me that just during the pandemic lost the ability to go to a training center where they might have been having skilled therapy with a harness system. But this would allow you to, I think I mentioned it's hard to get, effective workout solutions if you don't have the tools at home. This is a way maybe to hack in one of those tools into your workout so you can feel like you can take your rehab into your own hands and empower yourself to move. So that's all for now. You may stay with me here. This might be a continuation on some of the other tips as part of a video cast that puts this all together into a module. So I hope this helps. Thanks. So in the last video, I told you what to use when you're anchoring and harnessing to your Home Gait Training System on your treadmill. Here's what not to use, because I've had these bend on me before. I mentioned it in a longer video when I was connecting to the overhead system. These are promotional climbing clips, and although they look very much like the heavier duty rated, I think these are called belay clips, but don't hold me to that. Much heavier weight, you can feel the difference just picking them up. These are usually promotional things to use for keychains, and even though this one has a locking clasp, which I like, I would still only use this for my keychain and not to anchor my body weight and trust. These are rated for climbing and other other capacities and outdoor stuff where you really need to lock something down and be able to secure it. I also like the metal versions of these. They're take a little longer to pull in and out, but these actually thread. Instead of the quick spring release, these actually thread and lock down. So once you have something secured or you need a permanent high anchor, you could use one of these, and they come in different sizes. The other good quick tip is you can so don't use these, but if you wanted a quick way to release, built in to some of these carabiner clips, I got these at the local supply store, big box store for, I think it was like Lowe's or Home Depot. These are Velcro rated straps that also have the big clip, and these range from maybe $8 to $12. You can see there's two different sizes, and with it comes the capacity. This one you can hang things. These are meant to kind of organize your garage, hang a kayak, hang maybe a Jeep fiberglass top up in your garage when you're taking the top off. You can see, like in this case, they're using to sling a canoe. But these work well too as anchors and quick release harnesses. The Velcro is actually very strong. If you had any concern about once you got it in place, you could actually tape or zip tie like it comes packaged to lock it down even more. But it does have that heavier rated clip.
And again, different sizes. This one may be 150 pounds, whereas this one's double, 300. So that's what not to use in the cheaper ones. But just, you know, the last tip is these are metal on metal. So there's metal on the sides of the loop, and you'll notice what I did to kind of quiet them down. When you're walking, there's going to be some of that rotation and motion. And, you know, if you don't like that sound as much, just get yourself some duct tape and kind of tape one of the, I actually on the 3-point harness have all 3 anchors duct tape. So kind of knock some of the noise down. So I hope this helps. Again, I'll try to put a big resource list. If you don't want to go out to the box stores now, you can get everything on Amazon these days. So I'll try to identify these same products I got in the box store in the resource list. You could probably have them sent to you in 2 days. So I guess that's all for now. On to the next video, or if you're done with this video series, please reach back to me in either the members areas or I'm putting this out on social channels too, so that more people can kind of help themselves to feel safe walking at home. Just leave some comments, let me know how you're doing. Okay, that's all for now. I've been David, SmartMovesPT and PTC Physical Therapy. Thanks for watching. So the question came up on the beta session that I did with some patients and other physical therapists on a point I brought up when I was setting up the harness system, bringing the treadmill in, and then securing it and getting it ready to go. That I was a little bit vague on the section where I mentioned you have to sometimes bring the rail that crosses the rack system. When you're bringing the treadmill in, if you have a single mount bar, you're going to have to back the treadmill up and over that rail, and sometimes a low profile treadmill like the one I'll show you in a moment will not make it over there without it impeding the treadmill underside of the treadmill belt when the treadmill is running. So the way I mentioned briefly was I used in the clinic, I came across these box steps, and you can make, this is like 7/8 or 1 inch plywood, very strong. What I did in my case is I had one in the back, and then I had a larger platform in the front, which I notched out according to the size of the framing. And a lot of that framing that I'm referring to down here is 4x4 steel. So when I did that, I had to bring the treadmill up on top of that platform. And something to keep in mind, I'm going to show you the exact treadmill that was in the original video. You have to keep in mind that the rails, let me see if I can get that right. Well, the runners, the rails that make the treadmill incline, have a certain footprint when they go up and down. So your box, your platform, make sure it's not, you allow yourself that width. You can almost see right here, there's an imprint. So you can almost measure that if you bring it up and down a couple of times if it's on carpet. I actually recommend getting a heavier duty mat to put on all of them. It makes it more forgiving, but it also allows you to be able to move the equipment around and keep it cleaner a little easier. One of a treadmill's worst enemies is dust and hair, particularly pet hair. So actually having it up on a platform makes it a little easier to clean under the treadmill, but you probably are gonna need two-person adjustment if you go with that platform system to bring it in and out. I did have another DIY solution from a patient that actually is using this. 2 of these, one going across actually works, and one going in the back. And then another therapist mentioned when they built a very similar system that I recommended in this video cast, they actually just took 2x6 wood section, scrap wood, they screwed them together and they built it up to reach that height, and they put one on either side, almost like ski poles or skis,
so that you still have the clearance underneath, but you got the height to bring it in. If you're using the power rack system that is a full cage, you're probably not going to have this obstacle where you can come in, bring your treadmill, and just pull it right into the cage. And the reason why that system has 4 sides, and that's in our resource list. I show you that option. That 4-sided, more of a commercial frame that a lot of times powerlifters use for pull-ups and squats and other things, or heavy-duty bench pressing. That usually has an overhead bar connector right in the middle to give it stability, but also sometimes they'll use it for pull-ups. That you can anchor on, and that brings your treadmill and where you're walking on the treadmill right in line with where you would need to anchor. So you can bypass the step of all the extra risers that might be needed. And I think that's the main point that one of the users wanted me to clarify in this extra module. But the other one that came up was someone asked me a question. I mentioned the full harness system that's shown in the video series in this video cast. But someone also mentioned, well, can you use the smaller just waistband belt that a lot of rock climbers use? And I say no to that for the reason being it only has 2 anchor points. So you're taking, when you're using this for gait training, just like the commercial systems, you want the main force of the brake if you need to, or the fall prevention to be up over here. The sides are really just so you don't pivot and spin, and it can help yourself to come up if you don't have side rails. But the other reason that's not gonna work is that if you do fall, you're just gonna topple forward. You have nothing stopping you up in the chest area, and once your center is over that treadmill, I would hate to see it come down and hit the front of the treadmill, and then really have not an effective way to break your fall either way, because you'll actually kind of pendulum or flip forward. So I think that's all for now. I hope you enjoy this series. As I get more vendors and more products that I think can complement this series, you're going to see them added to this webcast. Eventually it's going to go in a members area so that I can add a module very quickly, and I don't have to relaunch the webinar or let you know that there's been an addition to the webinar. You can just jump into the members area and get the last module so that you may have missed, or the new feature that's been added. So I think that's all I have for this particular course. I hope this gets you started on your road to better gait training in your home. And reach out through if you're watching this on the video cast, there's a questions area that should be on the right sidebar. If you're watching this in the members area later on, top left-hand corner is the member support area. You can contact me via that, and I'll get back to you, or someone on my staff will get back to you with any responses that might need to be. So I hope you enjoyed this series. Again, this has been David for SmartMovesPT and PTC Physical Therapy. I'm also simulcasting this in No Stroke, my members area, and my blog for stroke awareness and supporting life after stroke. So that's all for now. Thanks for watching.